My boss bought me a luxury suite for the weekend, but it wasn't what it seemed. My best friend pulled me aside and said, "Did you know he's watching you right now?" I thought she was joking, until the hidden camera blinking in the mirror proved otherwise. I never thought I'd be the type of person to get caught up in something like this. You always hear these stories, some scandal involving a powerful man and an unsuspecting woman, a news article that people shake their heads at before moving on with their day. But when it happens to you, when you're the one standing in the middle of it, heart pounding, pulse roaring in your ears, it's a different kind of feeling. Like suddenly realizing you've been playing a game you didn't even know you signed up for. And the worst part? I should have seen it coming. I should have known from the way he looked at me. The way his eyes lingered just a second too long when I spoke, how his compliments always carried a weight that made my skin prickle. I should have known when Richard Devereux, my billionaire CEO boss, gave me an all-expenses-paid weekend at the Peninsula Chicago. And I definitely should have known when my best friend, Tasha, pulled me aside and whispered, "Did you know he's watching you right now?" At first, I thought she was joking, until I saw the hidden camera blinking in a mirror. Wednesday morning started like any other. I was drowning in emails, my coffee was already cold, and my boss was making my life hell. Richard Devereux, CEO of Ashworth and Company, self-made billionaire, and the kind of man who never heard the word no, had been paying me too much attention lately. I wasn't naive. I knew what that kind of attention meant. It had started small, subtle, a lingering glance during a meeting, a compliment that almost sounded professional. "You have a rare kind of presence, Nina. Not just anyone command a room like you do. Your work is impressive, but I think your mind is even more fascinating." Little things that, taken alone, didn't mean much. But together, they meant everything. Then the gift started. First, a bottle of Chateau Margaux, a wine I mentioned once in passing months ago. Then, a silk scarf from some high-end designer I couldn't even pronounce. I refused them at first, left them on his desk without a word. But Richard was persistent. "Think of it as a token of appreciation," he'd said with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. "You deserve nice things." And then, on Wednesday, he called me into his office. I knew something was off the second I stepped inside. He was smiling too much. That controlled, powerful kind of smile that made you feel like you owed him something. "Nina," he said smoothly, leaning back in his chair, "you've been working hard. I think you could use a break." I was tense. "A break? I booked you a suite at the Peninsula for the weekend. Spa treatments, private dining, a chance to relax." I blinked. That's really generous, but I can't. I insist." His voice was warm, but there was something beneath it, a quiet, unspoken command. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to refuse. But refusing Richard Devereux wasn't easy. I told myself it was just a weekend at a hotel. No strings attached. I should have listened to my instincts. Friday night. The Peninsula was every bit as luxurious as I expected. Plush carpets, crystal chandeliers, that quiet kind of wealth that makes you feel like you're trespassing. My suite was ridiculous, bigger than my entire apartment. A massive bed, marble bathroom, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the Chicago skyline. It was too much. I FaceTimed Tasha as soon as I got settled. "Girl," she whistled, "this looks like the kind of place people get murdered in." I rolled my eyes. "It's just a hotel." "A hotel booked by your creepy-ass boss," she corrected. "You think he does this for all his employees?" I sighed. "Tasha, you know what this is, right? He's testing the waters." Her expression darkened, seeing how much he can get away with. I forced a laugh, trying to shake off the unease creeping up my spine. "It's just a free weekend. Nothing's gonna happen." Tasha didn't look convinced. "You lock your door, right?" she asked. I frowned. "Obviously. Check it again." "Tasha, just check. Humor me." I sighed but got up anyway, walking over to the door. I reached for the handle, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't locked. I swore I had locked it when I came in. I quickly turned the deadbolt, my fingers suddenly ice cold. "That's weird," I muttered. Tasha's eyes narrowed. "You still think I'm overreacting?" I forced a laugh, but felt hollow. It's probably just housekeeping. But deep down, I wasn't so sure. Dinner was at the hotel's restaurant. 5-star everything. Waiters who moved like ghosts. I should have enjoyed it. But something felt off. Halfway through my meal, my phone buzzed. "Tasha, where are you?" "Me, restaurant." "Why?" "Tasha, Nina, listen to me. You need to go back to your room. Right now." My pulse spiked. I called her. "Tasha, what the hell? Did you know he's watching you right now?" Her voice was urgent. I froze. "Who? Richard?" I shook my head. "That's impossible. He's in New York for—" "I just saw him, Nina. He's here. In the hotel." My breath caught. This wasn't paranoia anymore. I threw cash on the table and practically ran back to my suite. And that's when I saw it. A tiny, blinking red light in the mirror. I moved closer, my stomach twisting. The light was barely visible, tucked into the corner of the mirror's frame. I reached up, fingers trembling. There was a gap between the glass and the wall. My breath came short and fast. It wasn't a mirror. It was a two-way mirror. and there was a camera behind it. My hand shook as I grabbed my phone and called Tasha. Her voice was sharp. What's wrong? There's a camera in my mirror. Silence. Then, Nina, get the hell out of there. Now. My heart slammed against my ribs. I grabbed my bag and bolted for the door, but just as I reached it, my phone buzzed. One new message. From Richard. Just 2 words. Smile, Nina. My hand was shaking so badly that I nearly dropped my phone. I stared at the message, my heart hammering in my chest. Smile, Nina. He knew. He knew that I'd found the camera. I had to get out. Now. I yanked the door open and stepped into the hallway, trying to keep my breathing steady. The corridor was eerily quiet, the kind of silence that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. My suite was at the far end, near the emergency exit. I glanced toward the elevator, my pulse quickening. That was the fastest way down, but also the most obvious. No, I needed to think. Tasha's voice rang in my head. Move fast, but don't be stupid. The stairwell. I tightened my grip on my bag and turned toward the emergency exit. I was almost there when I heard it. A ding. The elevator doors opened. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. My legs were locked in place, my fingers tightening around the strap of my bag. Then, footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. My heart felt like it was going to explode. I forced myself to move, taking quick, silent steps toward the stairwell door. Just as my fingers wrapped around the handle, Nina. I froze. That voice. Deep. Smooth. Too calm. I turned my head slightly, just enough to see him in my peripheral vision. Richard. He was standing a few feet away, dressed in a dark suit, his hands in his pockets. His expression was unreadable, but there was something in his eyes that made my stomach drop. What are you doing? He asked, tilting his head slightly. I forced my voice to stay steady. Heading out. His lips twitched just barely. In such a hurry. I didn't answer. My fingers curled tighter around the door handle. His gaze flicked to my bag, then back to my face. You seem to be enjoying yourself earlier. I hope everything has been to your liking. I swallowed hard. My skin felt clammy. Yeah, thanks again for the sweet. Really generous of you. His eyes darkened, just for a second. Of course. I needed to get out of here. Now. I pulled the stairwell door open and slipped inside before he could say another word. The heavy door slammed shut behind me, and I started running. The stairwell was dimly lit, the echoes of my footsteps bouncing off the concrete walls. My breath came fast and shallow as I sprinted downward. 20 floors. I had to get all the way to the lobby without stopping. I barely made it past the 18th floor before I heard it. The stairwell door above me opened. He was following me. I pushed myself to move faster, my legs burning. Every instinct screamed at me to keep going, to not look back. Then another sound. Footsteps. But not just from above. From below. I nearly stumbled. No. No. I slowed just enough to listen. There were definitely 2 sets of footsteps now. One above, one below. He wasn't alone. My mind raced. Think, Nina. I had 2 choices. Keep going down and risk running straight into whoever was below, or try when the floor exits. I reached the 14th floor landing and hesitated for half a second before shoving the door open. The hallway was empty, carpeted, softer under my feet than the stairwell. I kept moving, my pulse thudding in my ears. I needed to find another way down. A service elevator. I turned a corner and ran straight into someone. I yelped, stumbling backward, my bag slipping off my shoulder. My body tensed, ready to fight, but then Nina... Tasha! I almost collapsed from relief. What the hell are you doing here? I gasped. She grabbed my arm. Saving your ass, obviously. My mind was spinning. How did you even get in here? I bluffed my way past the front desk. I knew something was wrong when you didn't answer my last call. Where the hell were you? My voice caught. Richard. He's here. He was following me. Tasha's eyes went wide. Jesus. Okay, we need to get out of here. Now. I nodded, trying to catch my breath. There's someone else. Downstairs. I think he brought someone with him. Tasha muttered a curse under her breath. Okay, new plan. Service elevator. Staff only. She grabbed my wrist and pulled me forward. We moved fast, keeping close to the wall. I could still hear footsteps in the distance, muffled but steady. Tasha glanced at her phone. I have a rideshare waiting outside. If we can make it to the side entrance, we're good. What do you even know where the side entrance is? She shot me a look, because I looked up the goddamn blueprints while I was waiting in the lobby. I stared at her. I love you. Yeah, tell me later. We reached a set of staff-only doors. Tasha tested the handle. Locked. She didn't even hesitate before pulling a bobby pin from her pocket and jamming it into the lock. You've done this before, I whispered. She smirked. Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. The lock clicked. The door swung open, revealing a dimly lit hallway. Stainless steel carts. Storage closets. The scent of industrial cleaner. The service elevator was just ahead. We rushed inside, and Tasha hit the button for the lobby. The doors slid shut, and for the first time in the last 10 minutes, I let myself breathe. And then, the elevator stopped. Not at the lobby. Not at any floor we'd selected. The door slid open, and Richard was standing right there. His eyes landed on me first. Then Tasha, then the open service elevator. For the longest second of my life, no one moved. No one breathed. Then he smiled. Going somewhere. The moment stretched, suffocating and thick, like the air had been sucked out of the tiny service elevator. Richard stood in front of us, the same unreadable expression on his face. His suit was immaculate, his tie still perfectly in place, as if he hadn't just spent the last 15 minutes chasing me through a hotel. Tasha stiffened beside me. I felt her hand subtly shift toward her bag, where I knew she kept her pepper spray. Richard took a slow step forward. Neither of us moved. His voice was as smooth as ever. "You're running." It wasn't a question. I swallowed hard, forcing my face into something neutral. I was heading out. His eyes flickered toward Tasha. "And you must be your best friend." Tasha didn't blink. "And you must be the creepy boss." A muscle in his jaw twitched. This was bad. I need to get us out of here. Fast. Richard exhaled, then smiled like we were all in on some inside joke. "Nina," he said, voice measured, "you're being dramatic. I went through a lot of trouble to arrange this weekend for you. Why are you throwing it away?" I gritted my teeth. "Because I'm not an idiot." He cocked his head slightly. "Is that what you think? That I've done something sinister?" I couldn't help it. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "You put a hidden camera in my room." His expression didn't change. "That's a very serious accusation." I glared at him. "I saw the light, Richard." "I know." His smile widened slightly. "You think I'd do something that reckless?" "That's crude." He sighed, as if the whole situation was exhausting him. "If I wanted to watch you, Nina, I wouldn't need a hotel camera to do it." A chill ran down my spine. Tasha took a step forward. "Listen here, you overpaid psychopath. We are leaving. Either you move, or I make you move." Richard's gaze flicked to her, and for the first time, his mask slipped just a little. I saw something flash in his eyes, annoyance, anger. Then he chuckled. "You're bold. I respect that." Tasha narrowed her eyes. Richard took a step back, just slightly. He spread his hands, like he was some reasonable man caught in the middle of a misunderstanding. "Go ahead," he said. "Leave." That was it. Just like that. My instinct screamed at me. "This is a trick." Tasha and I exchanged a look. Neither of us moved. Richard sighed, then reached into his pocket. Tasha instantly reacted, yanking her pepper spray out and aiming it straight at his face. "Easy," Richard murmured, pulling out a sleek black phone. He turned the screen toward me. My breath caught in my throat. It was a video, a live feed, of my apartment. My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen, unable to process what I was looking at. The angle was slightly tilted, showing my living room, the couch, the coffee table, my half-folded laundry on the side. But something was wrong. The front door was open, and in the corner of the frame, a man was standing inside. A man I did not know. My vision blurred. My body felt frozen. Richard tapped the screen lightly with his finger. "Now," he said, "are you sure you want to leave?" My throat was so dry I could barely speak. My mind screamed at me to do something, but I felt paralyzed. Tasha was the one who moved first. She lunged forward and smacked the phone out of Richard's hand. It hit the floor with a sharp crack. The sound jolted me back into my body. Richard's smile faltered for the first time. His fingers twitched at his side, as if restraining the urge to grab me. Tasha's voice was low and lethal. "I don't care how much money you have, you sick freak. If you sent someone to her apartment," Richard sighed. Actually signed, like he was dealing with an impatient child. "Don't be so emotional," he murmured. Tasha swung. Her fist connected with his jaw, so hard that Richard actually stumbled back, slamming into the wall. The air left my lungs in shock. Tasha grabbed my wrist. "Run." And we did. We bolted down the hallway, past the shocked faces of two staff members, past an old couple who gasped as we flew by. I didn't dare look back. We burst through the back exit, into the alleyway behind the hotel. The night air hit me like a slap. A black SUV was idling by the curb, Tasha's rideshare. We dove inside. "Go," she shouted at the driver. The man hesitated for half a second before peeling away from the curb. I twisted around, my breath coming in sharp gasps, expecting to see Richard behind us. But he wasn't there. I turned to Tasha. My hands were still shaking. "What the hell just happened?" She exhaled sharply. "I don't know, but we're not going home." I blinked at her. "What?" My place." She shook her head. "He knows where you live, Nina. And if he has someone inside, we're not going anywhere near there." My stomach twisted. She was right. Everything in me wanted to go home, to lock the door, to pretend this wasn't happening. But it was. The car sped through the streets of downtown Chicago, weaving between late-night traffic. I could still feel the phantom weight of Richard's gaze on me, like he was watching from the shadows. My mind raced. The video. My apartment. The man inside. Tasha's grip on my wrist was tight, grounding me. She was talking to the driver, giving directions, but I barely registered the words. "Nina," she said sharply. I turned to her. My hands were still trembling. "We can't go home," she repeated. We need a safe place. I swallowed hard. Where? She hesitated. Then, my cousin's place. He's out of town, but I have a key. Nobody knows about it. I nodded automatically, even though my brain still felt scrambled. Nothing felt real anymore. Tasha gave the driver the address, and we rode in silence. My pulse was still hammering in my ears. Then my phone buzzed. I flinched so hard that Tasha noticed. She reached out, but I already knew who it was. Richard. A text. You're making a mistake, Nina. My stomach twisted. I shoved the phone into my bag, unable to look at it. Tasha exhaled sharply. He's already playing games. I nodded, my throat too tight to respond. A few minutes later, the car pulled up in front of a brick apartment building in Lincoln Park. Tasha grabbed my hand. Come on. We hurried inside, my pulse still racing. She unlocked the door to a small but cozy apartment on the third floor. It smelled like old books and coffee. The second we stepped inside, I locked every single bolt on the door. Tasha ran a hand through her hair. Okay, we need a plan. I was still stuck on one thing. Richard had someone in my apartment. My voice sounded hollow. Tasha's jaw clenched. We need to call the police. I hesitated. And say what? That my boss booked me a luxury suite, followed me, then somehow had a live feed of my apartment? Tasha's expression darkened. That's exactly what we say. I sank onto the couch, my legs suddenly too weak to hold me. You saw him, Tasha. You felt what I felt. He's careful. He has power. If we go to the cops with this, he'll already have covered his tracks. She stared at me for a long moment. So what then? We just let this go. I shook my head. No, we just need proof. Tasha crossed her arms. And how exactly do we get proof? I hesitated. Then, an idea. I looked up at her. I need to go back to my apartment. Tasha nearly choked. Excuse me? I took a shaky breath. He had a camera in my hotel room. What if there's something in my apartment? We need to find it before he has a chance to wipe everything. Tasha stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Girl, I punched a billionaire in the face for you, and now you want me to break into your own home. I gave her a look. You literally picked a lock 20 minutes ago. She waved a hand. That was different. I raised an eyebrow. She exhaled, dragging a hand down her face. I cannot believe I let you drag me into this. But she didn't say no. An hour later, we were standing outside my apartment building. My heart was pounding. My hands were clenched into fists. The building looked the same, quiet, dark, normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Tasha squeezed my arm. If something's off, we leave. No hero crap. I nodded, swallowing hard. She reached for the door, testing the lock. It was still unlocked. That sick feeling returned. Someone had been here. Tasha pulled out the pepper spray from her bag. Stay behind me. She pushed the door open slowly. The apartment was dark, except for the faint glow from the city lights outside. I held my breath, waiting. Silence. We stepped inside. Everything looked the same. Couch, coffee table, unwashed dishes in the sink. But then I saw it. A single chair in the middle of the living room. Facing the door. My stomach twisted. Tasha whispered, "What the hell?" I stepped closer. The chair was slightly out of place. Not mine. Not something I owned. Then I noticed the small black device sitting on my coffee table. I reached for it, heart hammering. Tasha grabbed my arm. Wait, too late. The screen lit up. A timer. Counting down. 0:05, 0:04, 0:03. Tasha grabbed my wrist and yanked me back. We ran. We ran like our lives depended on it. Because I was pretty sure they did. We barely made it out the door before the boom shook the apartment. It wasn't an explosion, not in the fiery Hollywood sense. It was more like a sharp, controlled bang, followed by a burst of white smoke. A diversion. A scare tactic. And it worked. The second we hit the hallway, my legs almost gave out. My lungs burned, my ears rang, and Tasha was gripping my wrist so hard it hurt. We bolted down the stairwell, lungs heaving. Neither of us spoke until we were blocks away. Then Tasha stopped, bent over, hands on her knees. Okay, what the actual hell? I pressed a hand to my chest, forcing air into my lungs. My apartment. The chair. The timer. This was Richard's message. I know where you live. I control what happens next. But what he didn't know, so do I. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I didn't check my emails. I called my lawyer. His name was Desmond Reeves, and he was the best corporate attorney in Chicago. He also hated Richard with a passion. Tell me everything, he said when I walked into his office. And I did. The camera, the messages, the video of my apartment, the chair, the fake bomb. Desmond sat back, folding his hands under his chin. He's careful, he admitted. A man like Richard Devereux doesn't get this powerful without knowing how to cover his tracks. But he made one mistake. I leaned forward. What? Desmond smirked. He underestimated you. Step one was setting the trap. Tasha and I went public. Not in a dramatic way. No viral tweet. No emotional Instagram post. Instead, we started asking questions. At work. At industry events. With reporters we trusted. Did you hear about the incident at the peninsula? I heard Richard had to leave town suddenly. Weird, right? A woman resigned last year. Same department as Nina. Wonder why? Corporate sharks like Richard thrive in silence. So we took that silence away, and suddenly people were talking. Step 2. We played Richard at his own game. A week later, I got a call from his assistant. Richard would like to meet, she said smoothly. A private conversation to resolve things. I bet he would. Desmond's voice echoed in my head. Let him think he's winning, then take him down. So I said yes. The meeting was set for Tuesday night. Private lounge. Discreet. Classic Richard. When I walked in, he was already seated, a glass of whiskey in hand. He smiled like we were old friends. Nina. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. I didn't move. Cut the act, Richard. His smirk didn't waver. What act? I folded my arms. You tried to scare me into silence. The hotel. My apartment. The fake bomb. You wanted me to back off. Richard swirled his drink. You sound paranoid. I smiled. Maybe. But you know what's funny about paranoia? His gaze sharpened. Enlightened me. I leaned in. It makes people record everything. For the first time, his expression faltered. My phone was already on the table. The screen showed a live recording. His voice. His messages. The video of my apartment. I tilted my head. Desmond has copies. So does the press. And HR. And a few board members. Richard went still. His grip on the glass tightened. You wouldn't. I shrugged. Depends. His jaw clenched. What do you want? I smiled. Now we were talking. By Friday morning, Richard Devereux had resigned from Ashworth and Company. Effective immediately. Issued a public statement about personal matters requiring his full attention. Settled a quiet payout to multiple former female employees. By Friday night, his name was trending, but not in the way he liked. And me? I was free. Richard had spent his career controlling people. But he forgot something important. People talk. And once they started, he couldn't stop it. Tasha and I celebrated with drinks. She raised her glass, grinning. To take down rich, creepy men. I clinked my glass against hers. To never be watched again. And just like that, Richard was gone. And I had my life back.